Hello, YouTube. I wanted to. I've said I've made this argument in other places before, but I just wanted to put it down in a video. um, and it is a further critique, or it's a sequel to my video, Agnostic Atheism is Stupid. Um, and I've been challenged to give give some other term or give some other label. Um, and that struck me as interesting because I don't think people really understand. I didn't really advance a theory of labeling, and I think I'm going to try and do that, or I'm going to try and criticize the theory of labeling that this sort of that agnostic atheism seems to rest on. Um, First of all, the notion an atheist is just someone who disbelieves in God, right? Sort of taking the dictionary definition. Um, well, there's a problem with that statement, I think. Uh, and this is sort of a Derridian critique. Um, I don't think that labels are merely descriptive. I don't think that the reason why we label ourselves is to just describe ourselves, or to describe a belief that we do or don't have. Um, and the reason why I think that's the case is that the statement, I disbelieve in the existence of God, or to describe my beliefs in the existence of, or to describe my beliefs about the existence of God, is sort of a vulgar thing to do. This is, Derrida makes this point that he was asked, you in writing have said something like, I might rightly be considered an atheist. And the questioner says, well, why didn't you just say that you're an atheist, right? And he says, well, this would be vulgar, right? To say, I am this and nothing else. Like, I am an atheist and not a believer. Uh, that is, who can say that? He says, who can say that? And what I think he's getting at here, and I think that this is just not taken into account nearly enough, is that this idea that our beliefs can be described in this way assumes, first of all, that our beliefs are transparent to us, that we know what we believe. And this is just a statement that's empirically false. The whole field of psychoanalysis is predicated on the assumption that we have all sorts of beliefs that we had no idea that we held. Cognitive behavioral therapy, for instance, is exactly that, trying to get at underlying beliefs that we aren't aware that we have. And we see all sorts of examples also of people believing X and believing not X at the same time. This is why we have a discourse around what's called cognitive dissonance, right? None of this is news. This is just psychology. This is Psych 101, right? The fact that our subjectivity is not self-identical. That our subjectivity is not something that can be counted as one, but rather it's a fragmented sort of mess, really, sort of an aggregate of all sorts of acquired beliefs that may be mutually exclusive, that may be mutually inclusive, that may be all sorts of whatever. This nexus of belief that we call our subjectivity is not something that is consistent. Or I would say that it's actually extremely rare, if at all possible, for our subjectivity to be consistent and to really know what we believe. That seems to me to be an impossibility. So the statement, "I disbelieve in God," well, if that assumes that you know what you believe in, it's just wrong. It just doesn't work for basic reasons. I think that this rests on a very sort of Cartesian view of the subject, or Aristotelian view of the subject, a certain concept of the subject. So the statement, "I am an atheist," then, cannot be a description of my beliefs. Or if it is, it's a vulgar thing to do, to reduce yourself, the complexity of your being, the often mutually exclusive complexities of your being, to reduce all of that to a statement that would imply that you're self-identical is I think a vulgar thing to do. So this isn't what I mean when I say that I am an atheist, right? Rather, I think that labels serve a much more important function. They're in a much more active function. When I say I am an atheist, what I'm doing is I am affirming an identity with a certain tradition and a certain discourse. I'm not merely describing my beliefs. So if I'm communicating with someone and I say I am an atheist, I'm not just describing myself. It's not just a reflexive action. But what I'm doing is I'm creating myself for them. I am creating me for the other. So this gesture of creation, this gesture of bringing a picture of myself into the world, that's what labeling is really about. And I don't think and I think that that's much more descriptive of how people actually label themselves in different contexts. In the real world, I think that's much more descriptive account of how people actually come to label themselves. So yeah, that's a very somewhat succinct video. Please comment, subscribe, post videos, and tell me all the reasons that I'm wrong. Have a good day.